They told us the invisible hand was a law of nature, that markets self correct, that if everyone chases their own interest, society will prosper, that the chaos of human desire somehow becomes order. But the invisible hand isn't a law, it's a narrative, a theological relic in economic drag. And like all powerful myths, it hides something in plain sight. Not what it is, but what it does. Because if you want to understand power, you have to stop listening to what it says, start watching what it creates. That's the Possewood principle. The purpose of a system is what it does. And what the invisible hand does is not guide us to freedom. It conditions us for obedience. It doesn't exist as some spontaneous emergence of balance. It exists because the system was built to move you, to mold your behavior, to push you toward acceptable choices, and to punish deviation. Not directly, not with whips and chains, but through pressure, through structure, through the frictionless force of design. It tells you, compete or be left behind. It whispers, survive or be replaced. It rewards the ones who conform and wears down the ones who don't. The invisible hand is not a hand at all. It's a current, a social physics of incentives and punishments, engineered over centuries by the accumulation of unchecked power. And it guides not by wisdom, but by inertia. It doesn't ask what kind of human you're becoming. It only asks whether you fit the machine. Now, let's turn to the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment wasn't just the birth of science and democracy. It was the rebellion of reason against authority. It was the declaration that the individual mind has value, that liberty must be real, not symbolic, that the purpose of society is not to extract obedience, but to unleash potential. The invisible hand betrays that vision because it doesn't care about truth, doesn't care about justice, doesn't care about becoming. It cares only that the gears keep turning. It is systemic inertia masked as wisdom. And yet, because it's invisible, people mistake its presence for nature, for a destiny, for reality itself. But here's the truth. Nothing about it is inevitable. If the invisible hand really was a force of liberation, then the outcomes would reflect that. We would see flourishing. We would see meaning. We would see sovereignty. But instead, we see alienation, burnout, depression, an epidemic of people surviving without living. That's Possewood. That's the purpose of the system. Not as it claims to be, but as it functions. The purpose is control. And here's the pivot point, because the invisible hand is not limited to markets. It operates in media, in education, in law, in your job, in your healthcare. It is the aggregated will of systems that have been designed, not consciously, not always maliciously, but with consequences that reveal their true character. It is the hand that guides your life, not by command, but by narrowing the field of possibility. Not by denying freedom, but by shaping what freedom looks like. That is the essence of soft power. It doesn't stop you from choosing. It just makes sure the choices you're given are safe for them. But what if the system was realigned? What if the hand could become a lifter instead of a lever? From an Enlightenment perspective, the goal of civilization is not order. It is liberty through design. Not chaos, not authoritarianism, but a society structured to produce freedom as an outcome. Not just freedom from kings, but freedom to become. The invisible hand could be rewritten. It could guide us towards self-actualization, toward dignity, towards systems that provide not obedience, but opportunity. If we built it, if we dared to see what was always invisible, not because it had to be, but because those in power preferred it that way. So the next time you feel that pressure, the choice between your passion and your rent, between your truth and your safety, between what you love and what pays, know this, that's the hand. And it's not natural. It's not divine. It's not wise. It's built. And if it's built, it can be rebuilt. That is the task of our age, not to mythologize systems, but to interrogate them, to hold them up to the light of reason and ask, do they serve liberty? Do they expand dignity? Do they allow the self to become? Because if they don't, then they serve something else, and we owe them nothing. Now ask yourself, whose hand is it? And what will you do when you finally see it? Because once you see it, you can't go back. And that's where real freedom begins.